has been a long time coming, and I wanted to show this video real quick. This video is going to be followed up by a 4-step how-to video on my vocal editing. It's going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek on what I want to do as far as format's concerned. In this area, I work with a lot of people. I do private lessons for 3 times a week. We're thinking about doing a recording school about 45 minutes from here. And I became really good friends throughout these years with a guy named Freddie DeMarco. He's a professional in the business. He's worked for Korg, Blackstar, Vox. Korg's a pretty big company, so he was a representative for them, and he toured the world. And about the first years that I met him, he was at Sweetwater doing like a seminar, and Sweetwater actually labeled him the tone master. So he's, he doesn't know this, but he gave me a lot of insight on tone and understanding certain tones and certain gear, and just listening to what he does as far as guitar and so forth. It's really impressive. So I've got to work with him. I want him to be a part of this channel. We're getting into this, and we actually have a location, hopefully, where we can do some pretty in-depth stuff. So I just wanted to give you a shout out of what to expect with this channel, so you guys can quit, hanging on by the cliff. We want a lot of shootout videos, a lot of gear videos, a lot of how-tos, a lot of sound demo stuff. So that's the goal. And then also we want to structure it where we can go in depth, do a little bit more time consuming videos. And that's why I was talking about Freddie. So he's going to be helping with that. He's going to be, editing video with me, and we're going to put together some courses where you can actually learn a lot more, a little more in-depth stuff. I wanted to start with a mastering course where a lot of people want to do that at home. So I was like, let's do it. So I'm going to talk about the 3 stages of a vocal. So before you do any kind of mixing, tweaking, EQ, and all this compression stuff, you have to make sure that the vocal sounds good. So the first thing that I did, and I will stretch this out as you can see on screen, is if I go to playlist view, the first thing's this, okay? These are all the vocal takes. Now I can get into how to comp a vocal here, but that's not what I'm going to do on this video. I'm going to show once you understand comping. What I did was I went through, so there was 6 different takes of his voice. And what I did was went one by one by one by one and listened to each one of these. And then I said, okay, this is the best out of all of them, timing wise, and actually hitting the note and get it. It's not sharp. It might be flat. It might be, you know what I mean? So you get it to the best of your ability. And that's the first stage. So you're actually doing a comping. So in Pro Tools, I will give you a little rundown. All you're going to do is highlight the one you like, and you're just going to hit the up arrow, and it'll kick it up to the main track. So that's the first stage. So stage number 1 is comping the vocal. If you have an artist in your studio, you own Pro Tools, it's a very simple procedure. There's a little arrow here on the track. You just click on that, you hit new, and then you have a new vocal take. So what we did was multiple takes. We had him sing it over at his studio. Like I said, we're doing private classes together and stuff. It's fun. He's a super awesome guy. And we get to sing, multiple takes. He's having fun with it. So then I have all these takes to pick and choose from. So that's the first stage that I'm going to do. The second thing is once I have that main vocal, we'll go back to our waveform view. Now I have this comped vocal that has multiple regions because of the way that we comp the vocal. So let me blow this thing up so you can see it a little bit better. How about that? Okay, so now you're looking at it on screen. So these are all the vocal takes, and you can see all the chops. And I got to watch myself. This is one of those Raven MTIs. We'll get into a video on that too. It's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do from here is actually what I like to do is put it into stretched audio, or they call it warped audio. If these are things that you already know, I'm just going to show you how I do it, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of advice at home. So what I'm going to do is I go to monophonic, or you can actually go to polyphonic. Both work. I don't think it's a rhythmic thing. So what I'm going to do is, in Pro Tools, there's Elastic Audio, and I like to keep it at real-time processing. I like monophonic. And then what it's going to allow me to have now, once you hit that monophonic button, it's on every track. So let me show you the track above. Like if you see here, it's not highlighted. I click on that, I could hit rhythmic, and now I can actually move that into the time that I want. So coming from the hip hop world, I mean, I got like timing is a big deal. And I think on big hip hop like projects or big records in general, this is going to happen because a singer might be on, but you could just move them that much on, or her that much more on. And how much time and how much you want to put into it to make the vocal what you want it to be. So today with technology, I mean, we can do a lot with the vocals. So what I'll do is I'll go to the warp feature, and as you can see, is I usually do a global eighth or quarter note depending on how the singing's going. It's usually around an eighth or a 16th note on a song where we're actually, you know, performing. On a hip hop song, it might be 30 seconds where it's like real quick. But I'll find the timing that works best. So I would just recommend experimenting. This isn't, I wouldn't think about it in musical. I would think about it more in grid. And what I mean by that is sometimes when you hit event operation quantize and you go to a quarter note, it's going to stretch that region like here too much to the next quarter. So I usually go with 8 notes. In this case, I did. It worked. And then I do a global thing over the whole entire region. Okay, so I'll go in, I'll highlight this whole thing. I'll show you so you know what I'm doing here. Highlight this whole thing, event operation, quantize, and then I'll hit apply. What that's going to do is give me a ballpark of where it's supposed to be on the grid. Now, big note, okay? This is a big note. You have to be on the grid with the music. Like, you have to be on a click, okay? It has to be on time. You can't, a lot of times guys will hit me up and they'll go, like there was a guy that's a good friend of mine, he plays piano, and he was like, Doug, I tried all this stuff and it's not working. Well, he's changing. If you're changing tempo, then that tempo change, you're going to have to apply it to each region separate. So this is all dependent on grid and tempo. So remember that. So if we look at the grid here, and I go to 8th notes on my grid, you're going to notice that these are not dead on, but some of them are, okay? The thing that I like to do, and a guy that I work with, another guy that I work with, he's like, I don't like it if it's too robotic. So you really do have to go one by one by one. You cannot just go in and just like snap it to the grid, or you will sound like a robot, okay? So what I'm doing is when I use warp mode, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take, so let's just hit play on this. Missing a woman he loves. Okay, so let's just go with this segment of the song. So I want this to go in time and in rhythm, in groove, as if I was singing it. So it'd be like missing a woman. So the word woman, okay? This word woman seems a little bit missing a woman he loves. A little late, so we can move it up. Missing a woman he loves. Okay, let's try this. Missing a woman he loves. Now it's too much. Missing a woman he loves. So now it's dragging. Missing a woman he loves. And we can bring this up. Missing a woman he loves. You see what I mean? So that's actually, so I do comping, then I do, after the comping, I do a global monophonic elastic audio, and then I do a global quantize, and then after the global quantize, I do a slip mode. So the slip mode lets me get it back in the groove. So as you can see, that changed it a little bit. This is not about like vocal, or that's not what this video is about. I'm not trying to make it sound perfect right now. I just want you guys to get the outline of what it is. So I'll move those over, and I'll keep moving those over, and I'll get them in the pocket of the music. So, you know, understanding feel and things like that as a player, if you're a player at home, if you're a musician at home, most people are that are watching this, you're going to really understand this, go, wow, dude, that like I could really, really get these tight. So now here's the next thing. So let's go through these 5 things. Number 1 was the actual comping. So get more than one vocal take. Number 2 was the overall, okay, let's get the timing right now. So it's an overall quantizing in Elastic audio mode in Pro Tools. Number 3 was then after that's already achieved, go to the slip mode to get it back into, let's give it a actual human feel and give it back what he actually intended the feel to be. So don't totally change it, just get it in time. And then number 4 is Melodyne. So hopefully, because I'm doing a screen capture right now, my whole entire system doesn't explode. So if it does, I'll just talk this out. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'll just do like a small little region for the video purpose. If I can find Melodyne. Melodyne, you're always hiding from me. It is. I can't. I work on like 7 different systems, and they're in a different folder on each system. I don't know if they were having a hard time thinking about it. So let's just hit transfer. So in Melodyne, I like Melodyne. You can use Auto-Tune Pro. There's one from Plugin Alliance that I have. It's called the Crispy Tuner. But I like having this control over it because then I can make decisions and I can see, okay, maybe he's dead on this note, and we can actually work in timing on this as well. So I'll hit transfer. This is how Melodyne works. Hit play. Missing a woman he loves. Let's just do this, okay? So now you're going to see he has... Sing. All right. Sing. So it's acting up because I got too much going on. It's all right. Missing a woman he loves. So sing missing a woman he loves. So you can sing a woman missing a woman he loves. So then we just put it right on. So you can move the notes now, and that's why Melodyne's so popular and so it's an awesome program. You could spend 2 months learning this. But yeah, you can move this. You can actually move the front of this and make it stretch, which sounds absolutely horrible. But yeah, I like doing it this way, and this was just a quick overview, and we'll get in depth in these little sections that I just did like an overview of. I like doing the time correction and stuff with the Warp Audio and Pro Tools because once you Melodyne takes over. So a lot of people don't know that, but Melodyne is now where your audio is coming from. And it's really interesting. You go back in and you try to make a correction or an edit, and you can't. So that's the steps. So the 4 steps, and I'm just going to end the video like this. We'll have some more follow-up, so I hope to get more in depth with each one of these sections. But number 1, once again, just to recap, is you have to get the vocals. You got to get the vocal takes. So don't be afraid if you're recording vocals to have them do 7, 8 takes. You know what I mean? And some people record different. They record not as comfortable if they go, one by one. So make them do like 8 or 9 of them and come prepared. If it's just you at home, don't just challenge yourself, get the vocal take. It's really what we want to do. We want to get it as perfect as possible. Number 2 is then once you have that vocal take in, you got to find and pick and choose the right vocals. We'll do a video on that, comping the vocal. And then number 3 is then using in Pro Tools, it's called Elastic Audio, where we can refine that and quantize it to the closest note. The closest grid mark, in conjunction to the musical value, 8th, 16th, and so forth. If you're in doubt, do a bigger, like a 16th or a 32nd, 64th, because you're only going to move it. So that's what I meant by not music. It's just like moving it over just a tiny bit. So if you're not sure, I would start with a higher value, 16th, 32nd, 64th. Half notes, it's going to go, and it's going to stretch the note. So, and then once you have that accomplished, then go into slip mode in Pro Tools, and you're going to move those warp markers to make it sound musical. And then number 4 is to place the Melodyne on there. And now you have a really, really serious vocal session. So yeah, to end this video, I wanted to say, guys, I had to take a break from YouTube. YouTube is my life. I appreciate the subscribers on this channel. You don't know how much that means to me. I talk to people, I'm like, dude, I got to get back to YouTube. I got to get back to YouTube. We have an amazing amount of videos that I'm going to commit to. There's a lot of cool things we're going to go through, and also be on the lookout for our school, and hopefully you guys, you know, subscribe to the school, and we're going to have some cool, you know, great teachers that are going to help out on that. So yeah, my name's Doug Jenkins, imixnmaster.com, and I will see you guys. Hopefully you pick something up from this video, and we'll see you guys soon, because I'm going to keep these things rocking now. We're going to go through some cool gear and some cool processing. We'll see you.